In mid-December, I took an early morning walk along the Arkansas Riverwalk Trail in Cañon City, Colorado. It was an easy trail that stayed close to the river, rambling through semi-rural neighborhoods and providing many places to access the water, as well as take a break and enjoy the beauty of nature. There are a number of places to begin a hike along this trail, and I chose to start at the Reynolds Trailhead on the east side of Reynolds Avenue. I lingered here for a bit in the morning chill at the river's edge and gave serious thought to abandoning my little trek for some cozy cafe where I could make my way through a stack of warm pancakes and a cup of hot coffee. But soon the rising sun began to brighten my surroundings with an ethereal glow, and what had seemed dull and mundane became magical and enthralling, mirroring a transformation in my desires. Comfort food cravings were forgotten, and nature had become my enchantress, alluring me with the exquisiteness of her artistry. So I set out towards the main trail, which runs along the side of the road at this point. My plan was to go towards the easternmost end, where there is a trailhead on Mackenzie Avenue, about 2 miles away. But I didn't make it very far before being lured away by a well-worn but narrow path that stayed closer to the river. Perhaps, I thought, there is a way through on this trail. Maybe it is even a shortcut. Regardless, I've always been powerless to resist the twin temptations of interesting scenery and a mysterious destination, so there really was no choice in the matter. The little trail wound through a dense woodland and was carpeted with fallen leaves. I wasn't at all sure where it was taking me, but one thing seemed certain. I was definitely on the right trail. Presently, the trail plunged deep into a thicket of willows before emerging onto a gravel bar. From here, I could hear the sounds of rapids, and soon I came to the river's edge and could go no further. My little mystery trail, it turned out to be a dead end, but oh, what a lovely end it was. I now backtracked almost to where I had started, got on the main trail next to the road, and hiked up to the top of the bluff overlooking the river. There are some benches here, so I sat for a long time, just looking out over the blue waters of the Arkansas. It was one of those places where you feel like you could stay all day. But wanting to finish the hike, I made my way to the Mackenzie Trailhead, where I turned around and headed back towards the west end of the trail. For much of its length, hikers on the Arkansas Riverwalk Trail are actually walking on top of the old Santa Fe Railroad right-of-way, the tracks of which were laid down in the 1870s. The line was being constructed at the time in an effort to reach the big bonanza mining town of Leadville, which sits up near the headwaters of the Arkansas. However, close to the mouth of the Royal Gorge, which is just a few miles beyond the end of this hike, they got into a tussle with their competitor, the Denver and Rio Grande Railroad, which was also laying tracks to Leadville. The problem revolved around the fact that there was barely enough room at the bottom of the gorge for even one set of rails. So instead of negotiating some sort of sharing agreement, they got into an actual shooting war that was finally resolved by the U.S. Supreme Court in 1879, in which both sides accepted a sort of sharing agreement. The line was profitable for several decades afterwards, but eventually passenger traffic began to slow, and in 1921, a massive flood tore down the Arkansas River, destroying entire sections of the track, and the Santa Fe Railroad simply chose to abandon the line altogether. Even though the trail continues for at least another mile, I chose the old 4th Street Bridge, built in 1891 and now a part of the Arkansas Riverwalk Trail, to be my turnaround point. But before I headed back towards Reynolds Avenue, I decided to get that breakfast that I had all but forgotten about earlier. Just across the parking lot, the Happy Endings Caboose Cafe, which is part of the Royal Gorge Route Railroad complex at the old Santa Fe Depot, seemed like the perfect place. I settled for a spinach wrap because they didn't have pancakes, but it was delicious. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.